Yaw Tchie is a senior researcher at the Research Group for Peace, Conflict and Development at the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs. He works on stabilization, peace operations, peace building, and security assistance in sub-Saharan Africa. He also coordinates the Training for Peace project, and he joins us now from Oslo. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. Now, as I mentioned, you work on stabilization and peace operations in the region. What do you think about the current situation in Sudan? How would you evaluate it?
Well, first, thank you for having me. The current situation in Sudan is one of, I would argue, a situation where it's quite volatile, but also has wide implications for the broader region. And what I mean by that is, if you take historically Sudan and South Sudan, which was one country, it's connected. Um, Both countries have been working together over the last few weeks or months to try and create more stability. Now, uh, one country holds the other accountable, particularly for their peace agreements. But what it also means is that interconnectivity between the two could lead to more fragmentations in South Sudan, for example, where Sudan is one of the guarantors of the peace agreement there. Equally, neighboring Ethiopia, where you have tensions with the Tigray situation and the flow of IDPs from that situation into Sudan, there is a possibility that this could also raise further tensions if the situation is not resolved. And I think that is the concern here. It's not just the situation in Sudan and the protests, but if there is an all-out uh, violence or conflict between the armed groups that are in Sudan and the state, or in this case, the army who's taken over, then you could see further clashes and further violence. And that's what really we would want to try and prevent here in this situation.
I want to hold on that point for a second here because protesters are not backing down. We've clearly seen that within the past week. How crucial of a role do they play in regaining calm in the country and bringing democracy in order?
Well, I think I can't really speak about the calmness levels because I think here what we do have is a situation where the protests will continue in this direction. And what I mean by that is we saw this in 2018, 19, where protesters were persistent to continuously protest, but also to make sure that the regime is toppled. In this case, we will continue to see that push, and I can't see protesters stepping down from that. What I think might happen in the coming days, and there has been suggestion not just online but also from friends and former colleagues that I've spoken to, is that uh, the military have tried to push to meet some compromises. In this case, they've gone back to the ousted prime minister and asked him whether or not he would be happy to lead a transitional government. He's rejected that, from what I've heard, and so you are seeing some levels of compromise. But I think widely here, what we have is a situation is where the military might have overestimated, actually, or should I say, underestimated the persistence of the protesters here, and so we are likely to continue to see this going on. Protests and increase, and actually, there's been a call for unified protest tomorrow. So I think tomorrow being Saturday is really the big one to watch out for, and whatever derives from that protest tomorrow.
Right. Speaking of tomorrow, the G20 summit is also beginning. Do you think that talks within the G20 summit will help the situation in Sudan?
I think internationally there has been a unified response on this. I hope that the meeting will be able to bring leaders internationally to sort of come together in a unified response. I don't think there has been a lack of that in this case, but I think the measures need to go further. So what else can be done? Okay, the US has stopped or paused aid to Sudan. The Troika have come up with a message or sort of a statement on this, but there are other steps that I think need to be explored to really put pressure on the military to change tact and to sort of really push things back into towards the democratic path that Sudan was trying to take. If not, I think we could see increasing levels of violence, particularly tomorrow, but I think in the coming weeks as well, if the regime, or in this case the military, don't step down and put back in place the transitional civilian government.
All right, Dr. Andrew E Yaw Tchie, thank you so much for joining us on the program and sharing that insight with us. We really appreciate it.